The quiet man who commands deep respect. For the man who doesn't speak to impress but whose silence speaks volumes. Part 1. In a world obsessed with noise, we live in a world where noise is mistaken for significance, where the loudest voices are, the ones that often get the most attention on social media, in boardrooms, in relationships. The world teaches us, speak up, be bold, be dominant. That visibility equals power. But what if the real power doesn't come from being seen, but from being felt? What if the most respected man in the room isn't the one shouting, leading, or selling, but the one who simply stands with calm, quiet certainty? The quiet man doesn't enter a room to be noticed, yet people notice. He doesn't interrupt others to prove he's right. Yet when he speaks, others listen. He doesn't seek to control, yet people naturally follow his lead. In a society of overcompensation, the quiet man is a mystery, and in that mystery lies his magnetism. This article is a tribute to him, and perhaps a quiet invitation for you to become that man. Part 2. Why true strength doesn't need to shout. True masculinity doesn't need validation. It doesn't parade itself in ego or bark commands to earn obedience. It is calm, deliberate, and centered. That strength comes from a place few dare to cultivate. Inner mastery. Let's be honest, our culture doesn't often celebrate restraint. We applaud dominance, charisma, wealth, and status, but rarely do. We acknowledge the quiet man, the one who controls himself more than he controls others, who responds instead of reacts, who listens more than he talks. And yet, history is filled with such men. Men who changed the course of nations, raised families in silence, healed others with few words, and led with dignified noise. Because real men don't strive to impress. They strive to embody integrity. They don't crave to be admired. They commit to being aligned. And as a result, they don't need attention. They naturally receive respect. Part 3. The psychology behind quiet confidence. What makes a man quietly powerful? It begins with self-respect. A man who respects himself doesn't chase approval. He doesn't need to project an identity. He already knows who he is. This inner certainty allows him to stay grounded even when others are insecure, chaotic, or aggressive. People sense this emotional gravity. It's psychological. When someone walks into a room and doesn't feel the need to dominate, argue, or impress, but instead observes, understands, and responds with thoughtful clarity, and unsettles egos and calms insecurities at the same time. Here's what makes quiet men so compelling. They're not afraid of silence. Most people fill space to avoid discomfort. The quiet man allows silence to work in his favor. They observe before they speak. That pause gives weight to their words. They remain calm in conflict, and calmness in chaos is power. They make people feel seen. Without stealing the spotlight, they offer presence. They walk with purpose, not rush, not hesitation. Purpose. And in a world that rewards quickness and spectacle, such a man becomes rare. And in his rarity, he becomes unforgettable. Part 4. Why men lose this power and how to reclaim it. Many men start out quiet, not because they are weak, but because they are reflective, inward, thoughtful. But over time, society teaches them that quietness is a flaw, that unless you're assertive, dominant, or alpha, you will be overlooked. So they begin to perform. They speak louder, laugh harder, try to win respect through force, and in doing so, they betray their own nature. They become someone they're not, and deep down they feel it. The disconnect, the anxiety, the constant pressure to prove. But the truth is, quietness isn't weakness. It's a signal of depth, of self-possession. To reclaim that power, a man must learn to sit in silence without needing to fill it, let go of performance and return to presence. Stop chasing validation and start building values. Trade charisma for consistency. Replace noise with intentional action. When a man begins to lead himself not from ego, But from principle, he becomes someone others want to follow. Not out of fear, not out of admiration, but out of something deeper: trust. Part 5. How to build quiet authority at home. This isn't just philosophical. Quiet strength can and should be practiced in daily life. Here are 5 practical steps to cultivate it. Starting right at home. 1. Own your emotions. DIC. Let mood swings dictate your day. When you feel anger, fear, or insecurity, breathe. Observe. Let it pass. Then act with intention, not impulse. 2. Speak less, mean more, make your words count. Speak only when you've thought it through. This builds weight behind everything you say. 3. Protect your energies. Say no. Set boundaries. Withdraw from noise, gossip, and unnecessary drama. Preserve your peace. It's your true currency. 4. Practice purposeful presence. Be fully in the room with your loved ones. No phone, no distractions. Your presence, not your performance, is what they remember. 5. Lead by example. Your children, your partner, your peers, they don't need speeches. They need to see discipline, integrity, calm leadership. You become the model they naturally mirror. Quiet leadership starts in the mirror. It echoes in the hearts of those closest to you. Part 6. Real-life examples of quiet men. Let's look at a few examples. Men who didn't speak much, but changed the world. Mr. Rogers, a gentle, thoughtful man who taught generations that kindness isn't weakness. Silence can be powerful. Keanu Reeves, known not for scandals or loud statements, but for humility, discipline, and deep respect for others. Nelson Mandela, a man who spent 27 years in prison and came out without bitterness, but with grace, dignity, and powerful stillness. Your grandfather, or maybe your father, the one who didn't say "I love you" often, but showed up every day, worked in silence, led through consistency. These men prove a simple truth. You don't need to shout to be strong. You don't need applause to be impactful. You just need to live what you believe. Part 7. For the man reading this, a quiet challenge. Maybe you've tried to be louder than you are. Maybe you felt overlooked. Maybe you've been told you need to be more alpha, more masculine, more assertive. But deep down, you know that's not you. And that's not a problem. That's your power. This world doesn't need more men who talk big but crumble under pressure. It needs men who carry stillness like armor. Men whose calm presence says more than 1,000 words. Men who make you feel safe, not because they dominate, but because they are deeply anchored. Be that man. And if you're not yet him, start today, one quiet action at a time. Part 8. A final word to the women reading this article may be for men. But many women will see their father, husband, brother, or partner in these words. If you know a man like this, tell him. Let him know that his quiet presence matters, that he is seen even when he doesn't seek attention. And if you're raising a son, let him know. He doesn't need to shout to be strong. He doesn't need to impress to be worthy. He just needs to be true, be steady, and be present. Part 9. The silence that commands the room. There is a silence that is awkward. There is a silence that is fearful. But then there is a silence that commands, the kind that doesn't beg to be heard, but changes the air in the room. That is the silence of a man who is sure of who he is, who doesn't trade his values for applause, who lives by principle, not pressure. He may be soft-spoken, but his life speaks loud. He may not demand attention, but he is always remembered. And in the end, the world doesn't remember who made the most noise. It remembers who made the deepest impact. Part X. If you felt this message, don't let it be just a thought. If this message spoke to something inside you, if it reminded you of a father, a mentor, a version of yourself you want to return to, then let this be more than inspiration. Let it be action. Reclaim your quiet strength. Live from your center. Lead from your core. And when the world tries to pull you into noise, remember, Still water runs deep. If this moved you, support more messages like this by subscribing to Awaken Mindset. This channel isn't for entertainment. It's for men and women seeking truth, depth, and emotional clarity in a chaotic world. If you're ready to awaken the quiet power within, join us. Subscribe now, share the message, and stay grounded. Your calm presence may be exactly what someone else needs today.